Hi, friends. Welcome back to Whole Home Revival. My name is Stasia, and I'm so glad you're here. Today, I thought I'd sit down with you and share my weight loss journey, health journey with you. I have finally met my first weight loss goal, and I thought it'd be a great time to just share with you what I've been doing to get where I'm at. And so, I thought I'd start at the very beginning, which would be my health journey. Um, when I was 7 or 8, I was smaller than my sister, who is 3 years younger than me. And my family was nervous and concerned about how small I was, even though I come from a small family. I had a great grandmother who insisted I see a specialist, and they took me to the specialist and realized and diagnosed with something called pituitary dwarfism and hypothyroidism. And when I was 7 or 8, that was diagnosed, and I was put on medication for life. And my whole life, I was very tiny. I was underweight. I think when I was let's see, when I was 35, when I met Julian, I'm 5'4", and I weighed 120 pounds. Sometimes that would even get down to 115. And I never had a problem with weight ever. I was always underweight. Um, and then when I was 36, I started seeing a new endocrinologist and talked about how when I get sick um, often. And when I do get sick, it sticks around much longer than anyone else I know. And so he did something called a cortisol stimulation test. And when he did that, he reached a conclusion that I have adrenal insufficiency. And you may have heard of adrenal fatigue, but this is something different. This is like a health condition that doesn't go away. And so with adrenal insufficiency, I am on a steroid for life. And this was diagnosed around the same time in the spring of 2017 when we were getting engaged and planning our wedding. And I knew that getting on the steroid, because I had been on it once before short term, that I was going to gain weight. It's just a given with taking steroids. And unfortunately, it is just a permanent spot in my world. It will never go away. So I started working out because we were planning the wedding. I knew I was going to have to worry about my weight. And that year, that was like April, by in December when we got married of that year, I had gained 20 pounds. And at that time, it felt like a lot of weight, and I didn't feel comfortable because I was just so used to being 120. But I was 140 when we got married. Looking back, I think I look really healthy in those photos, and I was really hard on myself. But I think we all do that at times. We look back and think, oh, I wish I would have appreciated that for what it was than what I thought it was. So we got married in December of 17. I weighed 140. In January of 18, we started discussing treatment for infertility with our doctor. I got put on an infertility med the middle of that year to do our IUI, and I gained 10 pounds from that medication. It was very swollen, and it did not work. We took a little bit of a break, and then in January of 19, I started treatment for my first IVF, my only IVF, and I was 150 when we got pregnant. And when I gave birth in September of 19, I was 203 pounds. Vonnie was 3 weeks early, and he was nearly 8 pounds 3 weeks early. I was very healthy. A lot of kiddos with Down syndrome spend time in the NICU when they're born. He did not. He literally was 7 pounds 15 ounces, and he was 3 weeks early. He was very healthy and very big. I knew because he was our only embryo, I knew that most likely he'd be our only pregnancy. I wanted to be a mom my whole life. I waited to be pregnant for a very long time. And I just really wanted to enjoy the pregnancy. I didn't want to worry about my weight. I didn't want to worry about what I was eating. And so I fully enjoyed it. And I do not regret gaining 50 pounds. I do not regret eating all the ice cream and baked potatoes that I wanted and personal pan pizzas. But that to say, I did not do any working out at all, because when we found out we were pregnant, shortly thereafter, we found out that he has Down syndrome and that I have placenta previa. And so I just was very nervous about losing him. And I just stopped doing anything that would be a concern for me. So no working out at all. Come fall of 21, Vonnie had just turned 2, and he was scheduled for an open heart surgery. And around that time, I had dropped quite a bit of weight because I was so sad, nervous, um, scared. I would say when I have emotions, a lot of times, most of my emotions, I want to eat. But when I'm scared, that's a time where I don't eat, and that's when I lose weight. And I had dropped a bunch of weight from that time, and I actually had gotten down to 143. But one, I didn't really think about it, or I wasn't weighing myself because I wasn't trying to lose weight, and it wasn't something that I was celebrating or enjoying because I was worried about my son having open heart surgery. So that was in September of 21. I slowly gained my weight back. And so last March of 2025, I weighed myself and I was 181 pounds. So just to recap there, I have fluctuated from 203 when I gave birth down to 143 when he was 2 years old and back up to 181 last spring. And I had some sort of stomach bug last March and I lost about 10 pounds. So then I was down to 171 and I held on to that for a while. And then in December of 2025, Julian and I sat down for one of our weekly marriage meetings. And I just broke down about my emotional eating and the state of my health and my body and how I'm not comfortable in my skin and that I have a lot of negative self talk and that I was just really tired of feeling the way that I was feeling. And I think a large part of it was just speaking it, like having accountability, not allowing this secret, dirty thing to have power and control, speaking out loud and letting other people know, like, this is how I feel, this is what's happening, and this is why I'm doing this, took away the power that I had, if that makes any sense. I asked for prayer from my ladies at church, from friends. I just spoke about it and said, I'm tired of talking about this problem. I'm tired of feeling this problem. I want to do something about it. I don't want to be one of those people, and I have been one of those people where I am just complaining about something when I have the ability to make a difference. I have the ability to change this. And so I need to, and I need to take the steps. And so I decided that day on December 9th, it's time. So I started working out. I asked Instagram, hey, who do you suggest on YouTube that's free? Several people suggested Nourish Move Love. So I started using her workouts. I just randomly picked workouts and I did 3 a week in December and January. I also was fasting twice a week because prior to getting pregnant, I was fasting to help maintain my weight and it was very helpful. So I started fasting twice a week for 16 hours. I fast from 3:30 p to 7:30 a. Come January, I chose a focus of the month, and it was cutting out sweet tea because I'm home full time. Drinking sweet tea had become such a habit that I was drinking that more than anything else and filling up my large cup with it and drinking it all day long. And I just didn't want to waste my calories on something that I drink. So I cut out sweet tea. I stopped making it. And then in February, I said no snacking after dinner, I believe. And in March, I said no bread or pasta after lunch. So I've kept up with as much as I can with allowing myself some flexibility on those things, and that's been helpful. But come February, after doing 3 workouts a week in December and January, come February, I started doing one of her programs. And I don't remember which one I started with, maybe Stronger 25. But when I was doing her workouts in December and January, I was doing like 20-minute workouts. And then when I went up to 5 days a week in February, I'm doing like 25, 30-minute workouts. And so I did the same program twice in a row in February, did a different program for March, did it twice in a row. And I'm doing the same thing in April where I'm doing Build 30, which is more like a 35-minute workout, twice in a row in April and 5 times a week. So and I'm also upped my fasting to 3 times a week for the 16 hours. So I just wanted to share with you some numbers of what this looks like. But I wanted to say, like, sharing your plan, sharing your struggles, asking for prayer, asking for accountability, speaking about things, even if it doesn't have anything to do with weight or eating. Like, what is something inside of you that you're holding on to for fear of failure or judgment? Don't give it the power. I have held on to this for so long and felt so silly even asking for prayer for something like emotional eating when there are so many bigger things in the world. But Satan does that. Don't allow something to get a hold of you that God does not want to take control of you. So the numbers, just because I think it's interesting when people share where they're coming from. I'm 5'4". On March 16th of last year, I was 181. On December 9th, when I had this emotional breakdown with Julian at our marriage meeting, I was 171. And as of yesterday, when I weighed myself, I'm at 150.6. My first goal was 150 because it felt so unattainable. To even think about weighing anything less than 150 to me was just bananas. And so I said, my goal is 150. My goal ever since I gave birth to Vaughn has always been, I'd like to get to 150. So I'm practically there, 150.6. So I've lost 30 pounds in the last year, but 21 of those 30 pounds has just been in the last 4 months. So I'm averaging like 5 pounds a month. And that is all from making better health choices, less snacking, less emotional eating. But I do believe that when I'm working out, it makes me decide to choose better things when I'm not working out. If I'm going to spend my 35 minutes sweating and working hard, why am I going to go through Dairy Queen and get a blizzard, you know? And so I really do think about it, and I'm tempted. Like last week I was running errands. I told Julian I literally drove into Dairy Queen, was going to drive through to get my blizzard, and I thought, what is more important to me right now? And is what I'm going to feel after I have that blizzard worth it? And it's not. And I'm not saying I don't treat myself. I still bake, I still enjoy things, but I do it within moderation. If I get us blueberry muffins for breakfast, I have half a blueberry muffin. I just make it last. I just enjoy it. I take longer to enjoy it. If I'm baking, I try to bake less so there's less laying around, and I'm limiting myself. And I think in moderation that's great. It's not good to have very strict boundaries when you're just going to fail. But when you start succeeding and these things start rolling and you're seeing the changes and the success, it's hard to think about anything but I just want to get to this goal. And I know that this has to be a lifestyle change. This is never going to be, Stasia is going to be 120 ever again. I don't ever see myself weighing 120 or even 130. I would be delighted if I could get to 145 or even 140, but I know that this is a lifestyle change. I cannot go back to being 120 without any input. If I was ever 120 again, it would be like, it just seems like it's just so, it's just not even, like I can't even think that that would be possible. But even if I got to 145, which is my second goal past 150, I know that I'm not going to be able to change any of these habits. I'm still going to have to work out, maybe not 5 times a week, but probably 4 times a week, and probably fast twice a week. I'm going to have to keep these habits and these things going because my body naturally just wants to eat because of the steroid. And emotionally, I have to keep that in check as well because I know that I get comfort from food. And so to me, it all plays and works together. If I'm working out, if I'm eating right, mentally, my mental health is there. It all works together for me. So I'm sharing all this in these numbers, even though it's kind of cringy, because I know what it's like to think it's never going to happen for me. I know that because I know that I felt like I was never going to get married. And when I did and was blessed with Julian, it was, I don't know, it always seems like, to me, it seems like that much sweeter when something happens that you think it's going to happen. I never thought I was going to be a mother. I wanted to be a mother my whole life, but I never thought I was going to. And then I was blessed with Giovanni. And to be honest with you, not to be a Debbie Downer, but I never thought that I was going to be at a weight again that I was going to feel comfortable in my own skin. I just didn't see it happening because I kind of gave up because I'm on the steroid. I just thought this is just what it's going to be like for me from now on. But it doesn't have to be. You may have no health history or health concerns or medication that you're on, but you're dealing with something that isn't even health related or weight related, but you're dealing with it personally. You're not sharing it. You're not asking for accountability. Whatever it is, don't hold on to it. Share it. Give it to somebody that you trust and ask them to walk alongside you. Just know that no matter what weight you're at, it's you decide what you're comfortable at. Like, no one else decides what I'm comfortable at. I know what I want to be, and 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 just because I'm at a certain weight doesn't mean that I'm going to be mentally healthy or that everything else is going to be great. I know this is just one small aspect of my life, but it's an important one. So, all that to, oh, there's a little bird in the window. All that to say is you can do it. You can do hard things. It will be good for you. One thing that Lindsay says from Nourish Move Love is like, you're an athlete. You can do this. You can do anything for 30 seconds. Yes, you can. And she is such a cheerleader that I don't want to give up when I'm doing it. Even though sometimes I do want to give up, I don't give up because she cheers me on. So you can do it. Whatever it is that you're looking ahead of you and you're trying to tackle and take face on, one, you don't have to do it alone. There are people around you who love you and want to support you and want to be there for you and pray for you. And two, God is always with you. So even when it feels like you are handling it by yourself and that no one could understand, that's just not the truth about it. It really isn't. So don't feel like you're all alone. I'm here if you have any questions about any of this health conditions, my medication, my journey. I'm an open book because I know how unique and rare my conditions are. So if anyone catches this video and says, oh, that's my daughter, or that's my child, or that's me, and I don't know anyone with those conditions, please contact me. I'd be happy to share anything that I can with you, any resources I have with you. Just let me know. You could email me at wholehomerevival@yahoo.com. You can find me on Instagram at wholehomerevival, over my blog at wholehomerevival.com. I am just hoping to be some inspiration to someone out there who is looking for some inspiration, even if it's not weight loss, health, journey related. Just know that whatever obstacle you're facing, if you think you cannot do it, I promise you, you're capable. You're capable with God's help, you're capable with your community's help. And there are people who want to support you and be there for you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time to hear what I have to say. It's just so it's just so lovely having a community of people who are here supporting us. So I hope you have a really great day and thank you for being here and I'll see you next time.